At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast is now on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast and click that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me is the man hiding underneath the rock. It's my co-host, good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, man, how you doing?
It's a comfortable rock. It's warm under this rock.
It's the best rock.
It's the best rock. I have the best rock. People are saying, everybody's saying it's the best rock. We love the rock, don't we, folks?
So, oh man. So this week's episode is episode 670. No, we haven't done 670 episodes. That would be fucking crazy though. But it's 670 in the Black and White series, season 14. And boy, oh boy, this is episode 11 of Black and White, and boy, was this an episode, bro. It was an episode.
It sure was an episode. A whole 21 minutes of it.
Just an episode. Yeah, I have nothing to say outside of, man, this is going to be a fun review.
Yeah, I have a feeling, and I've said it before, and I've been proven wrong. I have a feeling this is going to be one of our quicker ones. I think you're going to get more.
You're going to get more angry Wrestling Chris G during this episode than you have in a while. This episode just nothing happens.
And I think you're going to get more chat and pack opening content than you are going to get actual review. I mean, you're going to know what happened, but I think if you were writing a summary of this episode, I think you could get away with like a paragraph.
Not even. You can probably say 3 sentences about this episode, and we'll see what those three sentences are at the very end. Try to hold me to that, Doug, if you can make a note.
Yeah, go ahead. Now you've done it. Now at the end of the episode, I'm going to need a 3-sentence summary, and I'm going to make a note of it.
Yes.
Now you've done it.
Yep, I've done it. I'm tying myself to it.
Still owe me that Poke Rap too.
Ooh, man. So, to kind of pass a little bit of time, how are you doing, man? How are you doing on your end?
Oh, existing.
Existing. Time doesn't mean anything anymore. The world is the world is forever changing. But on my end, I just went to go see for people that are out there. Ooh, bless you.
Thank you.
And I hope I'm not coughing too much during this episode. I'm currently sick right now. And
COVID.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Can you get it twice?
If you're Kayla Braxton, you can get it twice. So apparently you can, but yeah, this past Thursday, we're recording this on October 19th. So yes, you are hearing this in the future. It's weird because we just dropped a movie last week, and it was refreshing actually talking for once about recent events. But last Thursday on the 14th, I went to the United Center to go see Mr. Fluffy himself, Gabriel Iglesias. And that was a great show. It was a great outing with my wife.
I got a kick out of because you sent us the outside of the United Center, like, because they put his logo on like the front of the building, much like they did with CM Punk after Rampage, and then you sent us a picture of the stage before you almost got your phone confiscated. And yeah, I mean that was I love the outside, and that stage is pretty cool too.
Yeah, and Fluffy ended up we thought the show was still going on. He was still telling jokes and everything, but apparently by the time we were leaving, the show had already been over, he said, for 35 minutes. And he picked up the clock that was sitting right in front of him and turned it around to the audience. It was like, look at this. He's like, I'm just having a ball up here. He's like, it's not every day you get to pack in the United Center and all this. And he was just going on and on and on. And of course, with it being Chicago, it wouldn't have been a show if there was not a fight in the 300 level of this United Center stadium. A group of like 4 to 6 people I saw up there just swinging away, and all you hear is security, security, security. And then Fluffy got wind of it on stage, and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, you hear that?" He's like, "Somebody's fighting up there."
Yeah, and obviously we don't know like the specifics, but like I just don't understand the thought process of I'm going to pay in 300 level. They probably weren't paying out the nose, but I'm going to pay this price, and obviously they weren't anticipating it being on a Thursday because obviously it got rescheduled because of COVID. Because
Yes.
I said something to you because we recorded the movie on that Tuesday before, and you're like, well, I've got those Fluffy tickets on Thursday. And I said, ooh, Thursday. And you're like, yeah. And, it was what he could get because, you get the United Center, you're going to try to get it back.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny. I'm gonna try to pull up real quick because I have my original tickets. So the tickets that I have from last year were actually the tickets that got me into the building. And let's see real quick because it's funny. I was going over this with my wife, and I was like, look at this. I was like, the original date was March 14th, 2020. And
Yeah.
he made note to say that we were 4 days away from that show before everything just got fucking canceled.
Right.
4 days away, bro.
But see, and here's my thing, and I mean, I kind of know the answer to this question already because I know your wife. If everything else but that show had gotten shut down, you weren't going to that show.
No.
No,
I would have been out some money at first. I mean, yeah, my wife is a very much health freak.
she's very conscious of the world going on around her,
Yes.
and she damn sure isn't going to jeopardize her health.
Dude, it was going to be pulling teeth to get her to go to WrestleMania. We were supposed to be at WrestleMania last year, and it didn't happen. Like, we were down to Vince McMahon saying, well, this show's still going on. Nothing is canceled out there yet. And then it got down to like the last few days, and they're like, yeah, this show ain't happening.
Well, and you knew good and damn well that it was going to have to be like a national fucking order for Vince, because Vince was going to do it.
Oh, he was definitely going to do it. Like, he was holding all of our tickets over our head, and he was just like, yeah, you guys bought your tickets, and there's no refunds. What's a refund?
What's a refund?
So, But yeah, that was it was such a crazy year. I mean, we found ways to cope with it, and you're listening to this, and we're like weeks away from 2022. And
Well.
what?
Well.
Well, what? We are,
Months.
huh?
Months.
What from them listening to this episode?
Oh, well.
I said,
I keep forgetting. I can't put myself in that headspace.
Apparently you can't. Yeah, we got a bit of a backlog. By the time they're hearing this right now, I can actually tell you exactly when this episode is going to be dropping because I finally caught up with myself. So this episode is going out the 23rd, the week, Thanksgiving week, the 23rd. Oh. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody here in the U.S.
Well, all right. I cannot put myself in that headspace. That's ridiculous.
And then this Friday's episode is going out on Black Friday.
So, don't
No Way Out.
Don't get killed for a TV.
So yeah, this is a crazy time. I'm so glad we're getting back into some type of normalcy. So, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that we have no more like big shutdowns in the future, or at least in my lifetime. So yeah, Doug.
Uh-huh.
All right. So people clicked on this episode to listen to Pokemon. So today's episode, as I stated before, is 670, episode 11 of the Black and White series, A Home for Dwebble, or translated from Japanese, Ishizumai, Take Back Your Home.
So obviously, Ishizumai is Dwebble in
Japanese.
Right.
Yes. This episode premiered December 2nd, 2010 in Japan, and here in the States it premiered April 16th, 2011. And Doug, my date happened in 1987 this year. Am I going first, or are you going first this week?
My date happened in 1929.
Okay, so you are going first. What is your date this week? I was about to say this year.
This year. On this date in 1929, April 16th, the New York Yankees become the first MLB franchise to permanently wear uniform numbers.
Get out. That wasn't a thing to start? Like,
no.
People didn't have numbers?
In fact, it wasn't until 1916 that the Cleveland Indians, I guess I should say soon to be the Cleveland Guardians, became the first team to put numbers on equipment. So you even had an outside chance of identifying the players. So yeah, it was pretty much just a grab bag going out there, and the Yankees were smart. They said, well, we're going to do numbers, no names, and they still don't do names on their home uniforms. But they
really?
They still just numbers on the home uniforms, but names and numbers on the roads. And they did it corresponding to your spot in the batting order. So, like, Babe Ruth batted third, so he was number 3. Lou Gehrig batted fourth, so he was number 4. Yogi Berra.
There was no confusing who's going next.
Pretty much.
Hey, it's my turn. I'm number 6. Dude, I'm number 5. Oh,
my bad.
My bad.
I'm going to sit down then. Yeah, so, and it's just crazy. Like, try to put yourself in that headspace with the amount of player movement and players getting injured and called up and everything and traded. Imagine if they didn't have names and numbers, you'd just be like, well, I guess I'm just rooting for a shirt then, I guess.
Yeah, for real. All right. Well, thank you for that, Doug.
All right.
All right. Mine is sports related as well. Mine is 1987. On this day, Michael Jordan becomes the second NBA player in history to score 3,000 points in a season. Holy crap. And as you were saying off air, that's young Mike. That was before he hit his peak.
Yeah, that's like fresh in the league, Mike. Because when he came in '84, so yeah, I mean, but those early Bulls teams, they had some good players, but it was basically get the ball in Mike's hands.
Yeah, and let's be real. Michael was an exception because normally when you would be going out there, you don't give a ball to a rookie player that early until he earns his stripes.
Right. No, you're 100% right. Let him cut his teeth. But he basically came in highly touted out of North Carolina, number 3 pick that year in that year's draft. Akeem Olajuwon went to Houston. Number 1, and that's fine because Akeem Olajuwon was Akeem Olajuwon. But where everybody and their mother knows that Portland messed up is they took center Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan because in their minds, they needed a big rather than scoring because at that point, they had Clyde Drexler. So they're like, well, we're set on scoring. We need somebody to rebound the ball. They fucked up.
So, okay. Well, shit. I didn't know that until I was reading it over. And, living out here in Chicago, I never got to see Michael Jordan play.
Yeah, no, me either. That was just something, being in the suburbs, going into the city wasn't something we just did on a whim. It was mostly just like a family outing, and I mean not just the 4 of us. It was like it was like a family trip, like cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody. So the 4 of us wouldn't go to a game, but I imagine those tickets were like hard as hell to get. Especially in the peak years.
You had the guy in the big jacket opening his jacket in front of the stadium. I got Michael Jordan tickets.
Yeah, what do you need? How many you need? I got where do you want to sit? I got how much for a ticket? How much did you pay? Don't worry about
it. Don't worry about how much I paid. How much are you gonna pay? How much do you want to see him?
And you're like, well, shit, I drove all the way out here.
So, all right. And people are probably wondering how many points in a season. And as of right now, Wilt Chamberlain is still number 1, at least as of what I'm reading right here, with 4,029 points in a season.
You're right.
He's number 1 and number 2.
And that was another case of, get Wilt the ball because he was so damn dominant.
Dude, he's number 1, 2, 4, 5. Get the hell out of here. And Michael Jordan is number 3 and then number 6. Oh, that must eat Kobe Bryant to death. He's number What?
Oh, poor choice of words.
I'm sorry. Poor choice of words. I wasn't thinking. But man, Kobe Bryant was points away from topping Michael's number 6 spot. Literal points away. He had 2,832 to Michael Jordan's 2,868.
And he probably would have gotten there if he hadn't have been on a team with Shaq. for those years, because that was pretty much, it was, scoring was 1A, 1B between him and Shaq.
But Shaq's not even on this damn list.
Well, right, but still, when Kobe and Shaq are on the same team, it's like, okay, Kobe can score, but Shaq can pretty much do whatever he wants if you get him the ball in the paint.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So, you ready, bro? You ready to jump into this episode?
Oh, if I have to.
I held us off as much as I could, but it's time to go over that review, because when we named our show the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast, that doesn't mean we get to take breaks in between episodes, because this would have been one of those episodes.
Yeah, it's a poor job of naming this show you did.
Hey, you agreed to it.
I agreed to nothing. I don't.
So
Full of shit.
All right, everybody. It is funny because this is we're getting the same introduction that we're going to get these next I think 3 or 4 episodes, but Ash is still on his way to Nacrene City in search of his second badge in the Unova region.
He's just doing a long freaking circle.
Yes, I know. And we start this week's episode with Ash hungry as hell. So is Pikachu and Axew. And Silent and Iris are sitting at a table because Silent's making a gourmet meal. He's homemade potato salad. And he's adding some cracked pepper and doing the whole 9 yards and all that. And freaking Iris just beats him to the punch after he puts the top piecing of the breading down and just gobbles it down. Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is so amazing. Doug?
I didn't really catch this at the time, because I was I was gaming, because fuck it, I can multitask.
That's why you didn't catch it.
Right. I didn't realize he put the potato salad on the bread.
Yeah.
Who the fuck does that?
People do that.
I've
never seen it either.
I realized that Ash was eating a sandwich, but I thought, that's double carb.
Yeah.
That's Starch City.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, yeah, okay, there was some tomatoes and what have you in the potato salad, but like, just eat the potato salad.
Well, you don't want the bread to go bad, because bread, I'm sure, on the road, not being refrigerated just under heat, can only last for so long.
Oh yeah, that's you know what? That's fair. That's because you're not wrong.
So better make use of it as you can on the road. All right, so but yeah, it's at this point where he also made Pikachu and Axew their Pokemon food, and they're enjoying their meal. They're all having a good old time. But Axew then looks up, and he's looking over in the distance at some rocks. And for some reason, he goes into a little bit of a trance. Like he's not listening to anybody. Ash is like, Axew, what's going on? Iris is like, Axew, are you okay? And Pikachu's like, well, if you guys aren't going to run after him, I am. And they just start running off into the distance and peeking around a rock, looking all sorts of suspicious. And Pikachu pulls Axew back, not knowing what it's doing, because we don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet. Right. And Axew is like, no, look. And this is when we get introduced to the main star of this episode, a Dwebble without a rock on its back.
Right. So it's the equivalent of, it's basically, it's a hermit crab.
Yeah, it's
is
like
what it is.
Yeah,
Um,
looks like an ant.
it looks like an ant or an underdeveloped shrimp, which I suppose is an oxymoron. Um, and it's out in the open, but we see that it is in the process of modifying a rock.
Yes. And of
So
course, Dexter has to come on out. And do they still call this a Dexter? Because we never really got a new term for it other than a Pokédex.
yeah, I don't know. I think they might have dropped the Dexter stuff in the Kanto region because all it's been is, oh, let me see your Pokédex so we can update it for the Unova.
Okay. So, all right. From now on, everybody, we will call it a Pokédex. So Ash takes out his Pokédex.
But we're gonna call it whatever we're gonna call it. Who's gonna stop us?
Little shorty in the corner over there.
Yeah, she can calm down. So yeah, we get the description, and
He's a rock in Pokemon.
and that's spelled INN like
Yes.
a hotel.
Yes.
And
I'm sorry. No, you
no,
go.
by all means, go ahead.
He says, it says, after finding a suitable rock, Dwebble digs a hole into the rock's bottom and uses it as a protective shell, which is exactly what Dwebble is doing in this episode right now.
And then, we get the Captain Obvious moment of Iris going, I'll bet you it's about to dig into that rock.
And freaking Silent doesn't help anything. He's like, yeah, we're about to see a rare occurrence. Normally, you don't get to see a Dwebble without its shell. Which, I mean, you get to see him without his damn shell this whole fucking episode.
Yeah, you get to see him without a shell for about, what, 20 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're all, pardon me, they're all sitting behind this rock. I feel like they missed an opportunity for Axu and Pikachu to just be like munching on some popcorn or something, just to get a little chuckle because I'm free. I'm on a screenshot of them all just kind of standing there, like, well, we're just gonna watch this show, and we see Dweeble's doing his thing, putting in work, and Ash.
Ash is an idiot. He jumps up from behind these rocks, looks out and goes,
Yeah,
man, all right, let's watch him. And they got to pull him down. Like, if you scare him away, we're not going to be able to watch it. You better shut the hell up.
Like, what are you doing, boy? So they have to, calm him down. And, thankfully it doesn't distract Dwebble. And he's putting in work on the bottom of this rock. He's got a little sweat thing going. And then we get the intro, which I can still take or leave at this point.
I'm kind of digging the intro now.
And then we come back from the intro, and it looks like he's finished. And then we get another, the rare second appearance of the Pokédex. Because, again, Pokédexes are series, basically. And apparently because there was a little confusion or somebody said something, the Pokédex was like, well, actually, Dwebble have a technique that make rock easier to carve.
Yes.
Like, okay, but nobody asked you, though.
And we find out that Dwebble kind of spits out a little bit of goo substance.
Yeah, I would say I'm trying to think. No, I'm trying to think because I can't think of it.
It's like a silicone.
Yeah, basically.
So, but yeah, after Dwebble puts the silicone on there, he's still carving away, and he finally carves enough into this rock. And after we get like 45 seconds of him just carving away, just carving, chop, 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 carving. And then he sticks his butt into it. Now tell me, this little shrimp should not have been able to pick up this rock the way that it picked up this damn rock.
Like, hey, you don't know how strong that tail is.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, it looks like I can take my finger and just crack it.
Hey, listen, whatever you do with your finger is your business.
So
you're walking around putting your finger in strange holes. I don't know if I'd recommend that.
I wouldn't recommend that. Gets messy. So it's at this point that Iris looks up and she's like, "Oh, that is so cute! It's so cute!" And this is when we get the trio gang of Dwebble that pop up. These Dwebble look all sorts of mean, and they look like they didn't even carve their freaking rocks properly. They just made it whatever they want. They don't look stable at all, which is a key point in this episode. And Ash thinks that they're friends until these Dwebble start attacking this little tiny Dwebble.
Right. And there's clearly like a boss Dwebble that's got like this big old what I'm assuming to the Dwebble would almost be like a mountain on his back, and he's got his two underlings, and they're just attacking.
How many times did he get his thing taken away? Because this main boss Dwebble has that mountain looks like he's taken a couple freaking Pokemon. Other like little rocks on top of his rock. Yeah,
so he. Well, I mean, but if he's at the top of the food chain, and obviously he's got, what it is? It is like a silicone or like a almost like a rubber cement, because I'm watching the underling Dwebbles kind of secure the babyface Dweeble's shell onto the boss. I'm going to get sick of Dwebble by the end of this episode.
Oh, I know.
And it is kind of like, it's like a caulk.
Yeah, it's like a caulking. There you go.
There it is.
And caulking is a silicone, so.
Right.
But yeah, they popped.
I should know that because we did some brickwork this weekend.
Oh, there you go.
Well, it got done. I didn't do it.
So, yeah, the three Dwebble knock off the babyface Dwebble, the good guy Dwebble, who don't know what babyface is, his rock off of his back, and then they secure it on top of the main boss's back, and they just walk away. Ash and them kind of come out and say, "Hey, give him back his rock," and these Dwebble are like, "No," and then they just dig, and they dig away.
Yeah, and
like, Ash, what the fuck?
Ash is like, "Oh, 3-on-1 ain't fair," and
those Dwebble said, "I don't care."
Our little baby-faced Dwebble goes digging after him, and Silent sends out his Pan Sage because Pan Sage knows dig as well, and so we're sitting there, and then Pan Sage pops up, and he seems to be telling everybody what's happening, but we don't really know. And then the baby-faced Dwebble pops back up, and he still doesn't have his shell. And he looks dejected, and then Silent goes over to help him, and the little fella is skittish, so he runs away.
And okay, so before we get any further into this, this Dwebble started pissing me off. Okay. So not only did Silent send out his Pokemon to help this Dwebble got, like you said, he got skittish. He fucking runs away. They chase after it. And they basically corner him with Iris on one side, Ash and Silent on the other. And Dwebble just gets so skittish that he hits the ground or hits a rock that's nearby him and breaks the rock, and a piece of the rock goes and flies back all the way over and hits Pansage directly in the face, knocking him out. And that, I mean, as you said off air, and you gave the perfect description, Pansage looks like he has a concussion.
He's got a concussion, and you if we've learned anything in the past couple years, watching football at both the college and the professional level, and I suppose hockey as well, and I guess baseball and basketball to a lesser extent. I mean, and some baseball players out there are going, you try to stand in the box and hit a 95 mile an hour fastball with a piece of wood.
For real, Doug, why don't you get out there and try to do it?
I don't want to. Concussions are nothing to joke about, and I mean, it's gotten to the point where a couple of years ago, the MLB initiated it's the 1 week injured list specifically for concussions. So like it's nothing to joke about, but I mean obviously this is just a cartoon and we're thinking too much into it. But you know what?
What?
I don't 100% blame this poor Dwebble because everybody was chasing after this Dwebble to try to get him to calm down, and frickin' Iris does a front flip to get in front of it and just lands in front of him.
I'm gonna get you.
Like what the? I would come out swinging too.
I would too.
I mean, I feel bad for Pansage, obviously, because Pansage was trying to be in the fight, but
it didn't end well.
It didn't end well for, and to Dweeble's credit, he was like, oh shit, I done fucked up, and Pansage is like, oh, it's all good. Meanwhile, he's got a fucking hard-boiled egg in his head. Because Ash is like, oh, we know you didn't mean to hurt anybody. And you can just tell that this Dweeble's just not having a good day.
No.
And Iris goes, well, just get another rock. And
he doesn't want another rock. He wants that.
Dweeble's basically like, you get another rock. He's like, I know you saw the work I was putting in on that rock. You don't get that time back.
So, of course, and this is where the episode kind of takes a turn. So, of course, Dwebble is like, no, you get a rock. I'm not going to get another rock. And freaking Ash is like, well, you know what? We don't have anything going on right now other than the fact that you're trying to get to Nat Crane City. And this is why you can't get Nat Crane City, Ash. And oh my gosh, I mean, I've seen a couple more episodes, and there's so many jokes that I want to make right now, but it would kind of be spoiling, so I can't make those jokes yet. But Jesus, this is why you're behind. Actually, no, we found out that his rival has 2 badges. So God, hurry up, Ash. Freaking Trip has 2 badges. He probably has 3 by now.
He probably has 3 by now. Yeah, I was gonna say.
So freaking Ash is like, you know what? We're gonna help you find your rock then, Dwebble. And Dweeble's like, are you really? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, okay, so let's go ahead and make a plan together, and then we'll go ahead and find these thieves. And then we get to what I consider the best part of this episode so far.
Right, because we're continuing Team Rocket's James Bond storyline.
Yes.
And we're meeting with and they kind of, pardon me, Team Rocket is on one side of this building, and the new agent, and I can't remember his name, and I said it like twice. Pierce. And they're on opposite sides of this building, and they both give each other a nod, and they go in, and they're walking in like the sewer.
It's an abandoned subway.
And they said this is a perfect location to dispense vital information, and Pierce says, "Well, the boss informed me of your present mission, and
Basically they need to recover that meteorite.
yeah, back. What was it now?
That was the last episode.
Was it the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're still in search of this meteorite, and let's see. He says the data that they gave the boss was very, very helpful on their on their newest and most important project. And then he has like some type of hologram that comes out of his ring on his finger.
Bro, I want this. I mean, how dope! He holds up his ring and it shoots out this projection, and it's this research facility, and it's got schematics, and he's like, "Well, the meteorite's being held in this lab in this specific location," and it pinpoints in, and
it shows the exact location inside of the building where the meteorite is.
And he's like, "You have to hack the computer server so you can obtain the data," and he's just, this is some James Bond shit.
Oh man,
give me Team Rocket. Like
you know what we should do at some point later on down the line, once we get like vital information, get it. We should make a whole episode just going over the information that Team Rocket's getting. And just make a whole Team Rocket episode.
Yes.
just doing James Bond shit.
We should do like a super cut of all of this, because like if you cut all the stuff together, I'm sure you get 20 minutes.
Oh, easily. So yes, we should just do a whole like Team Rocket James Bond just episode just to keep you all caught up. In case you forgot.
If you told me when we started this show that we were eventually going to do like a more current season, and that I was going to get hooked on the Team Rocket storyline in that season, I think I'd have laughed in your face and hung up the phone call.
Well, are you hooked?
I'm hooked. I don't care about Dwebble. I want more Team Rocket information.
And I apologize, people. Like I said before, I'm sick, but we don't want to fall behind on our backlog. So, I mean, if you're hearing me clear my throat a few times, my apologies to all of you. My voice is not fully here right now. So
that COVID's a motherfucker.
I'm telling you, I might have it. The way that I'm freaking feeling right now.
I might have it. But then we go back to the search for the mob Dwebble.
Yes, and Ash is using his Pidove to try to search for the Dwebble from above. Pansage comes back from underground and doesn't have any news at all. The frickin' Dwebble comes back and he has nothing as well. And he's like, shit. I don't know what else to do. He's like, and then Silent's like, you know what? It's getting late. Let's go have dinner and we will come up with another plan going forward. So
they invite the Dwebble, and so the humans are sitting at a table, and the Pokemon are sitting at bowls, and they have their food, and Dweeble's having a good time, and Pansage just looks out of it, and he's got the anime faint line on his nose, and he faints.
Yes.
And Simon's like,
it feels like shit.
Yeah, because now you got me doing it. Fuck.
Sorry. They couldn't hear me on that last one. I muted the mic. You could hear me. They couldn't.
Silent's like, well, it must have been when he got hit with a rock, and they do a flashback. And like you said, Dwebble feels like shit. And Silent's like, well, I don't have any potions left. But then
this is when we get Iris's specialty, Doug.
He's like, didn't we see
Iris is like, I saw some herbs that we can go to because there's no Pokemon Center in sight where they are.
Right, and she's like, I can make a remedy that would reduce the fever, and her and Axio go running off, and then we see her back at the table with a pestle and mortar, mixing this potion, and Iris tells Pansage to drink it. She warns him that it's going to be a little bitter, and he seems to be taking it well, and Iris is like, a good night's sleep and you should be back to normal. And Silent is grateful because that's the natural reaction. And Ash is kind of not taken aback, but he's like surprised. He's like, that's awesome. And actually was like, goddamn right. And but you can tell that Dwebble still, I mean, he must be torn up inside, because he knows obviously, but he threw the rock.
Well, he has flashbacks as well to show that he feels terrible because he's sitting there remembering that these people are trying to help me, and I just blew my shit and just threw a rock at this Pokemon, and this Pokemon's going through all the emotions right now.
And then we get Dwebble as who's that Pokemon? Thank heaven for small miracles. We see that Dwebble is kind of watching over Pansage, and Silent's trying to put his mind at rest. He's like, Pansage should be okay. He took the medicine that Iris made. Pansage is still torn up, like completely. But, Silent's like, we can get your home back tomorrow after we get a good night's rest. Dwebble tucks in Pansage and, like, sleeps, like, right next to him. But, yes, then we're back at the interesting stuff because Team Rocket has found the facility.
And they're getting ready to break in.
Jesse throws, like a grappling hook, and Meowth can just climb up because, cat.
But they have some James Bond stuff. They put on these goggles, and these goggles turn into like this super advanced Team Rocket like sensor, and it can see all the security parameters that's on this building. They can look around and see that everything's being protected, so they need to be careful, but they can see where they need to step. And Team Rocket is about to enjoy this because they're like, ooh, yeah, they've secured this building, but we're about to fuck shit up.
Bro, this is some bunk. I understand, we're a bit further in time, but where was this stuff when they were just trying to, if they had this stuff.
This is the first season, because where I'm currently at watching Pokemon episodes is the season before this, and they definitely ain't doing no shit like this.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if they had this stuff when they were trying to catch Pikachu back in Kanto, the series would be like 5 episodes long.
I know, because they would have caught Pikachu.
I mean, it would have been a wrap. So yeah, they've got all this high tech. They basically got every advantage they could need, and
they find themselves into the building.
Jesse's like, well, it makes sense considering how valuable the data is that's inside, and they all three leap down, and we see like some Mission Impossible montages of them crawling under lasers and using keypads and breaking in, and they're in like the ducts above the main lab
where the meteorite is.
And they're like, well, this place is packed with sensors, which, of course it is, I mean, we've all seen Mission Impossible, the scene where Tom Cruise is being literally lowered down from the ceiling.
I want to see the new 007, by the way.
You haven't seen it yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, gotcha.
Have you seen it?
No, I have no interest.
Oh, damn. Okay, let's continue. So, James has this little helicopter, like laser thing, and it kind of lowers itself down into the computer mainframe so he can hack into it.
Yeah, I mean, this is some boss level shit. I mean, it's basically like a USB drive with a fucking helicopter blade on it. And it's attached to Bluetooth.
Yeah.
And Meowth says, "Oh, it's password protected," but he's not like pounding his fist like, "Oh, damn, it's password protected." He's like, "Well."
He's like, the computer is going to do its job, and it literally cracks the code.
I mean, this is just. I paused my game. I was like, I'm going to watch this, and this is just. I mean, I couldn't give a shit about Dwebble, but this was just. Give me a Team Rocket series. I'll watch the shit out of that in a weekend.
Keep saying it, and I'm sure it's going to happen at some point.
So yeah, the computer figures out the password, and James doesn't even break a sweat. He's getting all these files, and we're seeing all the data, and it's being copied, and it's processing kind of slow, but I mean, obviously we're looking at it in 2021 eyes, and then we go back, and Pansage is literally so healthy he's doing backflips, and everybody's happy. The Pansage is okay. Dwebble seems to be feeling a little better knowing the Pansage is okay. Axu's just its normal happy self.
And they're now
and they're like, all right.
I was about to say this. It's time to come up with the plan now, Doug.
Right. And we go back, and we are face to face with the mob of heel Dwebbles, and it looks like it's going to be Pansage.
That's the bad
Dwebble.
Sorry,
yes.
Yes, heels. No, I was letting everyone know. Yeah, those are the bad guys.
I'll keep up. They'll catch on. They're smart. So, the bad guys retreat, and Axu is kind of on a mission to find them. And Axu goes running into an open area in some rocks, and he doesn't see them. But we see a point of view behind Axu, and we see the bad guy Dwebbles hiding. And we know that it's the bad because we can see the coloration of the rocks. And they do the classic cartoon thing of popping up when Axu's not looking, and then when Axu looks, they go back. And Axu has like an idea, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna pull the okey doke," and he's like, "I'm not looking," and then he catches him.
But these Dwebble are they're smart, so they start attacking back, and Ash and the gang finally get the idea that we need to come up with a plan in order to separate these Dwebble. Right. So they come up with a plan of basically taking some Pokemon food and luring in these Dwebble.
So yeah, our hero is kind of getting worked over, and then they come up with the plan about the Pokemon food, and the Pokemon food is in bowls, and the bowls are all three attached to some rope or string or whatever, and they're just kind of waiting for the bad guy Dwebbles to pop up, and as soon as they pop up, everybody yanks the strings, and the Dwebble instinctively follow the food, and they start chowing, and then our hero Dwebble tries to jump at one of the minions, and he gets smacked away.
But he just starts attacking.
Well, he starts attacking, but he's going backwards.
Yes.
But because he's kind of got the high ground, and he's pulling he's like, I'm going to be elusive, and he looks up at a rock that's kind of precariously kind of hanging on a cliff, and the bad guy Dwebble goes in for this killer cross attack, and the hero Dwebble gets out of the way, but the force of the bad guy Dwebble's attack sends the rock
Hurling
tumbling
down.
down and knocks him back and has him off balance, and then our Dwebble does the same attack and knocks that one out.
Yes.
And Silent's making food puns. He's like, "Oh, that was a spicy combination and shit."
And then we go to the next Dwebble, and that Dwebble is trying to use its shell to attack the no shell Dwebble. No Dwebble. And when he jumps back, he gets stuck in between two rocks because his shell is too big. So here comes Hero Dwebble with I'm guessing this is Axe Cutter. And
right, yes.
And he slices this Dwebble, and that Dwebble is now knocked out. So now it's time to go after Boss Dwebble.
So the shellless Dwebble approaches the boss, and the boss is blissfully chowing down on some Pokemon food, and we get like a straight up like a showdown at the OK Corral kind of thing, you know. I can never whistle on command. Yeah, that. So the boss Dwebble tries to launch backwards with his shell, and the hero Dwebble gets out of the way, and he goes to launch with his claw attack, but the boss Dwebble turns its back and presents its shell, and our hero Dwebble pulls up because he doesn't want to
break his shell.
And it wouldn't be a Pokemon action scene if what just happened was plainly explained to us. But I understand it's a kid show. It doesn't matter just because we figured it out. And so the boss Dwebble is swinging, but our hero Dwebble is avoiding it. But then the boss Dwebble uses an attack called Smackdown, and I kind of laughed. But it's 2 words, so it's non-copyrighted, and knocks our hero Dwebble kind of for a loop. But he recovers
real quick.
Well, yeah, it's almost like there's only 4 minutes left in the episode. And then he leads the boss Dwebble under this ledge, and much like the second evil Dwebble,
Evil
Dwebble, he gets stuck, and the hero Dwebble uses one version of Cross, and then he mega powers up and knocks everything except conveniently his shell off of the boss Dwebble, and the boss Dwebble has been suitably chastened, and he retreats.
Yep. And it's from there our Dwebble comes back, gets into its shell, and it's happier than a pig in shit. And everyone couldn't be any prouder at this moment. It's from there that we go back to Team Rocket, who meet back up with what was his name? Pierce. Inside of the abandoned train station, and they hand over the file over to Pierce so he can get it back to Giovanni. And he basically says, "Great work. You guys are awesome. That was actually very quick." And he's like, And Team Rocket's like, we don't need praise. We need to get along. And he's like, I'll report this to the boss as soon as possible. And they're like, understood. And then they both vanish. And that's it for Team Rocket in this episode. And then we come back to the concluding part of the episode where they're saying goodbye to Dwebble, our heroes, and Dwebble doesn't want to leave. He's following behind, and Ash is like, I think Dwebble wants to go with you, Silent. And Silent is sitting there, and he's like, do you really want to come with me? And Silent is sitting there, and he's like, do you want to come with me? And he's like, yeah, I want to come with you. Just take out your damn Pokeball. And he's like, this Dwebble is fantastic for me. What was he actually had a really good line.
He said, getting your shell back was heavy fare. But worrying about Pansage was a very delicate and light touch. And he said, that's a perfect Pokemon for me. And he said, yes, I think we'll be a good match. And he throws out his Pokeball, and Dwebble happily jumps up to meet it, and it shakes once, twice, 3 times, three and a half, and he's caught. And he says, "Oh, such exquisite," and he sniffs the Pokeball, which is kind of weird. He says, "I've got a Dwebble," and everybody's happy, and Pansage is like, "I've got a buddy," and Axu's happy. Everybody's it's a big old love fest, and Ash is like, "Now we can head to Necrene City together." And I said, "Yeah, in 3 months."
I know. You'll get there at some point, Ash. At some point.
No rush or anything.
So, and that is this week's episode. I'm gonna go ahead and give this episode first. I'm gonna give a Crystal Meteor. I'm gonna give it a maybe about a 1.5, maybe a 2. Like this episode didn't tickle my fancy at all.
I'm gonna give it 2.5. I really enjoyed the Team Rocket stuff. Them being capable is just so foreign to me, but I'm into it. I like that they're existing on their own. Like, they don't have to run into Ash to get beat up. They can just do their own thing.
They're not blasting away.
I enjoyed discussing this episode more than I did watching it. I was happy to see that somebody caught Dwebble.
That we didn't go a whole episode with no one catching.
Well, and just I could so easily see the episode ending with Dwebble just waving as everybody walked into the sunset. It's like, no, but he's a wild Pokemon. Like, what was it a couple episodes ago? I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's a wild Pokemon, right? And you're like, yeah, but nobody tried to catch it. So this was refreshing. Yeah, like 2.5 is fine. But I can't in good conscience go to a 3.
Well, to kind of wrap this week's episode up, Doug, I have a Sword and Shield Chilling Rain pack and a Sword and Shield Evolving Skies pack. Which one should I open for today's episode?
I could be wrong, but I feel like you haven't opened a Chilling Rain pack in a while.
Okay. So let's go ahead and get this pack opened. Let's see. There we go. Ooh, look at that. It was actually easy to open. Unlike the freaking Pokemon movie one, which nobody heard because I edited that part out. All right. I got a white card, which means that I probably have a very rare card in this deck.
Ooh.
So let's go ahead and find out. Doug, the energy I'm about to look at.
Fighting energy.
It's a lightning energy.
Poop.
And then I have a fire resistant gloves, welcoming lantern, both trainer cards, a Reboot, a Porygon, a Swirlix, a Sneasel, a Snover, a Blitzel, a reverse hollow Beedrill, which that Beedrill looks fucking badass. And then I have a hollow Weevil. It's not the best, but it is a card that I do not have, and it's a hollow, so I will take it. So this is a plus this week.
Take that every day of the week.
Yeah, for real. So if you want to see these cards or any other cards in the collection, go ahead and look us up at every Pokemon episode on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter at PokeBreakdown. Get our follows up. And if you're interested in next week's episode, if you're listening to this on the free feed, it's already up there. Go to patreon.com/Poke. Patreon.com/everypokemon. And you can go ahead and subscribe there. We have a bunch of different tiers for you. Tiers where you can get Pokemon cards. You can become a guest on the show. Or you can just subscribe and just listen to next week's episode if that's all you're interested in. So go ahead and subscribe. Do you have anything else to add, Doug?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, then, if that's the case, go ahead and say goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you, be here next week for another Black and White episode. And don't miss this upcoming Friday's episode drop with No Way Out, everybody. We're taking a step back in time. So have a good night, everybody, and I will see you on the flip side.